This is Matt from MGMT Boston on another episode of The Lantern. We are here on site with Jen Neundorfer, the general managing partner of January Ventures here in the Boston area. So we're going to talk about what she's building at this venture capital firm, what she's investing in 2025 and beyond, and some of the things she's seeing in the ecosystem. So Jen, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
First and foremost, tell us what January Ventures is. What is your focus? What are you all building?
So as you said, we are a venture capital firm and we focus on the earliest stage. And one of the things we talk about at January is we invest in founders regardless of their pedigrees or their networks or who they know. And it's really based on the potential of the founder. And we started January to lean into two capital dislocations where we felt like there was just a lot of opportunity to invest in great founders and unlock returns. And so the first is the earliest stage. So we focus primarily at the pre-seed. You don't need a product. You don't need revenue to come and pitch us. And a lot of our investments are pre-revenue, pre-product. Cool. And then the second gap is really around networks. And what my partner Martin and I noticed as we went through our careers as operators in the venture and tech world is that the networks in venture were very narrow. And we felt like a lot of value was being created outside of those networks. And we knew we couldn't take the network out of venture. It's how we source and underwrite risk and just do business. But we did feel like we could build a fund based on a fundamentally different network and source founders who, maybe weren't playing golf with VC funds and VC partners on Sand Hill Road, but who had the expertise and the potential to build venture scalable businesses. So that's what we're doing. Thematically, we focus on B2B software companies and really focus post-investment on the go-to-market support, right? Our founders are experts in the markets that they're building in, and we help them create that go-to-market motion and make that a scalable, repeatable process.
Perfect. And as we sit here in January, looking into the deeper part of 2025, what are some of the things you're excited about this year? We'll be spending more time in, less time in, et cetera.
Yeah, great question. So the big thing that everyone's talking about is AI, but where we really focus there is, I think we're not going to invest in the next LLM or the next foundational model. Thematically, I mentioned B2B software, but in a deeper level, what we focus on is software that's bringing legacy industries and processes up the digital curve. And we see a lot of opportunity to apply, whether it is, cutting edge GenAI or just more traditional AI and machine learning to some really interesting areas that haven't been touched as much by, AI to date. We're just about to release our 6th annual founder research report. And
we will link that.
Yeah, we started this 6 years ago as a way to really do like our own voice of the customer research. So founders are our customers, and we wanted to make sure that we understood what they needed from VCs and ecosystem partners to better build their companies. And one of the things that really excited me being here in Boston was seeing that this year we asked founders where they want to build their companies. And SF and New York still dominate that list, but the next two places that founders want to build are LA and Boston. As a fund that is based here in Boston, investing at the earliest stage and trying to give founders that first dollar of capital, I am selfishly interested in doing more deals here in Boston, knowing the founders want to stay. And I think it's up to us as VCs and ecosystem partners to make sure founders have the resources they need to build those companies here in Boston.
Builders all around the Boston Metro, listen up to that. Now, you have a deep career, both as a VC today, but also as an operator before that. Looking, at both sides of the table, what are some of those learnings as you think about the current and the former that you would pass back to up-and-coming operators, founders who are thinking about building companies today?
Gosh, there's so many learnings, but one would just be that perfect is the enemy of good. And that applies to so many aspects of life, but I think it is really true to company building and startup building. I was on the phone with a founder this morning who was saying, I realized we built too much product before we actually went out and tested it in the market and sold it. And I think the best founders are those, and frankly, the best operators are those who are able to go with what is good, bring that to market and test and iterate. The first version of a product is always messy. It's never as good as you want it to be. And so lean into good, not perfect. The second learning that I've had is around aligning incentives. And I think one of the questions I always ask to founders as part of our diligence process is, what does success look like for you? It's a really personal question. There is not one right answer. And I think for any founder, just as important as figuring out what the market opportunity and the product is figuring out what success looks like. And then making sure that your capital sources are aligned with that definition of success. There's nothing worse than having misalignment between what your investors want and what you want. And there's a conversation I'm always happy to have with founders about how to align those and what the implications of those are. And then the last thing that, again, company building and just life is play to win, don't play not to lose. And it's such a slight distinction,
Yeah.
but particularly in building venture-backed startups, like you're there to win. It's not about protecting the downside. Swing big, believe in yourself, and approach what you're building as though you have every resource in the world and set yourself up for success with that mentality.
I think that's great. And last but not least, how can we in the Boston area and beyond help January Ventures? How can we help you all grow?
Yeah, well, first, send us any great founders that you know who are building. And as I
Please.
said, there's a lot of great funds here in Boston. We love working with all of them. But, a lot of them, companies need to have a certain revenue threshold or a certain product traction. We don't need that. If a founder is ideating on something, thinking about leaving their job to go start something, that's when we love to meet them. So send them our way. I think we can be helpful, and then figure out whether it's a partnership to invest. And then, the second thing is to really be open to potential introductions that are coming from founders or from VCs to founders. Before starting January, I ran an accelerator, and I realized that the biggest accelerant for an early stage company's growth is access to customers. And so we can only do that if people are open to intros. We know founders want to be here and build here. Let's reduce that friction on intros so that founders have what they need to build here.
I second that. This is Jen from January, Matt from MGMT Boston on this episode of Lantern. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Matt.